Thank you everyone for joining the business planning session, the most important session of 2022. We start off every year with business planning. I've been doing this when I was selling for 10 years. I had a team. We were a very successful team within the company. And I want to give a big shout out to Pam Prescott, Brian Buffini, Richard Robbins, Chris Leader. These are the minds that that I've taken the direction from over the years in terms of training and coaching. So this business planning exercise is sort of a Frankenstein of different resources from each of those trainers. And as we go through, one of the things I always like to do with any seminar or session, and especially business planning, is have actionable items. It's just not me telling you guys and motivating you guys, which will last 2 days, right? I'm going to sit here, and if it was just a motivational speech about how and why you should be doing a business plan, it lasts for a few days. But if you can grasp some of the tools and use some of the tools that I'm going to show you, and implement that and use it on a daily basis, those are the things that are most important. So most of my sessions, again, I like to have a good takeaway from it. I do leverage technology, different systems that we use, whether it be online or through a CRM and et cetera. So the other thing I'm going to say is throughout here, there are going to be references. Maybe take some notes as to some of those references to websites, different areas where you can get this information from. Most of our sessions are all now on our YouTube channel, including this session. So we're going to have that available to you. Let's get going. So
can I say one thing?
You can, Pam.
I've been doing these business planning sessions for 30 years now. And I have found that anybody who follows through doubles their income in their first year of the business plan. If they follow through and they do it.
I'm so glad
to do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, Pam, because that's what we often do is we do these sessions and then it kind of fizzles. And that's why the coaching is going to be such an important part of it as well. So what Pam has said, I know Suri didn't mind me bringing up what we did last year with her. I talked to her yesterday and said, I hope you don't mind me bringing up you as an example. Last year, Suri came to me in January. We decided to do a business planning coaching sessions. So everything that I'm going to be going through here today and in the coaching moving forward, I went with her last year and she over doubled her income last year. And she said, Aaron, just whatever you do, don't stop. Don't stop. I want to continue. So what I've decided to do is host those coaching sessions every Monday for everyone, 10 o'clock on Mondays, but it's interactive, right? So I'm going to show you some of the tools we're going to do in order to get that going too. So thank you, Pam, for that. There's three areas I'm going to focus on today. First is just a self-assessment. Okay. We want to look at where you're at. Everyone's at a different stage in their career, and you have to have a look at where you're at in order to put in an action plan for the future. We do take some time, and a lot of business planning, you do at the beginning some personal planning as well. I'll talk a little bit about that, but there won't be a lot of time or resources to go into your finances, right? If you were doing a one-on-one coaching, I think that's the first step, is really look at your finances and see what you need to make out of this industry. What's your goal in terms of income in order to live and have a career in real estate? So you can do that on your own and know where you sit in terms of what that goal is. And that can come from last year's productivity. I mean, there are people that have gone bankrupt making $2 million a year. No word of a lie. You hear those old tales of, so-and-so in bed. How did he, he was #1 agent in town. Yeah, well, they spend a lot of money too. And they have a lot of, so everyone's different in terms of the amount of money they want to make and the balance of quality of life as well. So I'm going to take you through a self-assessment that will give you more of a tools, like what tools do you currently have and how good are they? These tools you're going to rate, you're going to give yourself a rating to see where you sit, okay? The action plan I'm going to go through is a business plan broken into mainly, I actually have it in 3 sections, but I've brought it back into 2 very basic sections, focusing on the people that you know, and then the people you don't know. And essentially, it's that simple. If you are going to be selling real estate, you're going to be selling that to people, and they're going to want to use you because you've built relationships. Those relationships can be built over the years of people you know, which is typically 85% of your business. especially when you first start out. And then you can have a business plan to meet new people, which is prospecting and ads and all this sort of stuff. So your action plan is going to consist of the people you know and the people you don't know. And then accountability measures. So moving forward, how are you going to hold yourself accountable on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to accomplish the goals and the action plan that you set out today? Okay. And again, I'm going to bring up coaching because I think it's such an important section of your business. People who do coaching, and we'll go back to those 2 million a year producers, they have coaches. There's no doubt. If you talk to any of them, they have somebody that they're sitting down with, whether it be on a weekly basis, monthly basis, that they still want either a better quality of life or to do things more efficiently or to be that mega producer. So those are the 3 sections that I'm going to go over today. The first section, of course, is doing your business assessment. We've made this easy for you. You don't have to go into our drive to find this, which is often, sometimes an issue, just trying to find where to get the resources. So if you just go to our homesbyheritage.ca website, okay, you will find it. And I'm going to go over there. Again, this is actionable. So I'm going to be all over my computer showing you things. If you want to write down this URL, this will take you right to the right screen, which is homesbyheritage.ca/page/y-century-21. Okay. So that's the long way of getting there. I'm going to move over to that section. Just give me 1 second. Let's go. Actually, I'm gonna hit escape. Here we go. So we're going to go over to our website. So this is our Homes by Heritage website. Under the career section of the top right-hand side, why choose Century 21? Okay, this is a great resource for all we are about. So we have our full workbook of all the different things that we have in our company. So if you ever want to see our value or show somebody our value so that they come on over and work with us, that'd be great. Introduction to our Remarketer program. And then as you scroll down, there are our 2 landing pages for, first of all, a personality test. We're not going to do that today, but it is fun. So if you get an opportunity, take the personality test. So you click there, it'll ask you a bunch of questions, take you 20 minutes. And what it'll do is it'll tell you what personality style you are and where to focus some of your energy in your business and how it relates to real estate. So it's kind of cool. And then you have a business assessment, and this can be a brand new agent, but it's more tailored to the agent that's obviously in the business, because there are things there that you're going to need. And let's just click on it. It is a fillable form, so we're going to fill it in. So there's your business assessment. You'll put in your email address, you'll put in your first and last name and your phone number, and it'll probably go to Debbie, and Debbie will give you a call. Actually, what I've asked Debbie to do is forward this along to your manager, and your manager will review it, probably give you a call and ask you to come on in and show me your business plan, and we'll kind of go through that. So that can be your mentor, your coach moving forward for the year as well, not just with the Monday mornings, but also with somebody that you can go and talk about your business. So these questions I'm going to go through because they're so important in your business. So you need to have clear personal and professional goals, right? If you're not happy in your personal life, that will roll into your business. So make sure that your personal and professional goals you've thought about, what is going to make you happy. Our first session on Monday at 10 o'clock is going to be talking about your environment, where you're working, how to set that up, making sure that you have something that you do that is a hobby or something you enjoy. Because if you're not doing that, and if you're not staying, let's say mentally fit, you're not going to be happy, and people are going to notice that in your business. Number 2, do you know how many face-to-face appointments you need each week for your business goals, right? So how many face-to-face or prospecting, and part of the technology piece that I'm going to introduce in the coaching is going to be we're going to call it Weight Watchers for real estate agents, because it gives you points every single week for how many times that you talk to somebody, call somebody, send out a newsletter, a note card, or a card, or a calendar, or whatever it may be. Some sort of prospecting is going to get you points. Do you have an effective pre-listing appointment process? So if somebody calls you today and says, hey, I'd like you to come in and give me a listing presentation, what process do you go through in order to do that presentation? Do you have a formalized listing presentation? If I asked you, Billy D, right now, show me your listing presentation, present it to me. If you don't have one, then you're going to score very low. If you have somewhat of one, you're going to score in the middle. If you've mastered it, which means you have an amazing listing presentation, you nail down more than 33% of every one you go on, then you can give yourself a high score. Formalized buyer presentation, the most underrated presentation that most people don't do. They go out and start showing houses, but they don't have a presentation. They don't take you seriously. You'll be showing 20 houses to people and they're just going to be, yeah, we'll keep seeing houses. And they don't realize that this is a profession. This is something that you're going to spend a lot of time with them doing, is finding the right house for them. And if you don't sit down and qualify them and go through at least a 1.5, 2 hours presentation and finding out all their needs and telling you how you're going to accomplish their goal of purchasing a house, then they're not going to treat your time properly. They're not going to sign you a buyer agency agreement. There is nobody, I don't think there's anybody, if they do a proper buyer presentation, that won't get a buyer representation agreement signed at the end of it. Do you know what percentage of your seller appointments convert to listing contracts? Know your numbers. You know, how many seller appointments you go on last year and how many did you get? Are you at 33%? Because that's average, right? 1 in 3 you should get, right? If you're at 50%, you're doing well. Are you able to communicate exactly what sets you apart from your competitors? Right? What is it? What's your, they call it an elevator speech. Give me your elevator speech. What is it that you say within the next 2 minutes that's going to convince me that you're the right person? And it can't just be, I'm a hard worker. Okay. Do you have a business plan with a budget or a forecast? Today, we're going to show you a business plan, and it's going to have a budget and a forecast, and you're going to give yourself some goals. Do you have a strategic marketing plan that incorporates video? We talked about video before, getting on screen. Video is so important these days because you're not face-to-face as much as we used to be. So you need to get video going and use it on social and have people see you. They need to, you know, before they even meet you. The best pre-listing appointment I've seen is done with BombBomb, right? So you get that request for a home evaluation and you send a video back just saying hi and letting them know a little bit about what's the process, and you're doing it through video. Well, they already know you before you show up. So that breaking the ice has already happened. Do you have an active social media plan, right? We're completely redeveloping ours this year as part of our business plan. We need to be as on social media as much as possible. And I know that sounds crazy. And I know kind of there's a bit of a pushback these days on social media because we're spending so much time. I don't want you to spend a lot of time with it, but I want you to realize that your sphere of influence, or a good portion of them, are on social, and that you need to be in front of them, and you need to know what sort of percentage is business and also your, you know, stuff that they know that you're a human being that isn't always about business as well. So having that plan and knowing what social media outlets should be part of your business plan. Okay, do you know the originating lead sources for all your transactions? Super important, right? When you're doing a business plan for last year, for next year, you take last year's numbers, but you got to know where those numbers are coming from. So in our business plan, we're going to show you that will be a part of it, putting down where your transactions came from so that you know. One of the stories I always tell, because I got it from Pam, was, you know, Pam said, I know the agent too, sitting down with the agent that was doing some business with I think it was Homes and Land. I think it was, or one of the publications, and had spent, let's say, $5,000 last year on it. And said, you know, it's a lot of money to spend. Should I really continue doing the Homes and Land? And it was, well, how much did you make from it? Well, I don't know. So went back and found out she made $30,000 last year from it. Okay, so I don't know if that's the right numbers, Pam, but very similar to that, and said, well, you spent 5 and made 30. And in any return on investment, Billy D will tell you, he's into investing. He knows that's a good return on your investment. So next year, I don't want you to spend 5,000. I want you to spend 10,000. You make 60. So that's a return on investment. And to have that type of ROI is incredible. So you need to know where your business is coming from. Do you have a repeat and referral generating strategy? Repeat and referral is 85% of your business. Well, and the people you know. So repeat and referral is so important. It's we forget about that. What is your strategy? Don't worry, we go in a lot into that in the business plan. Do you use a CRM? Are you organized? You need to use a CRM every single day in order to organize yourself. Again, Suri, one of the things we talked about this week on our call was the fact that she was making her 80 calls. She made 80 calls over the holidays, which is amazing. I said, well, you know, so-and-so, what did you talk about? what is going on in their life in 3-4 months. If she doesn't write that down and she makes that call again, because you could call 4 times a year, you're not going to remember that Billy, I should say Billy, sorry, keeps, let's say Jimmy, Jimmy won a hockey tournament. So when so how's Jimmy doing in hockey? And if you write it down, you remember to mention it, and then they know that you care, right? So you have to have a CRM system, and you need to make sure that you're using it effectively. Lead follow-up system. Again, if you get a lead, where's the funnel? What system? And this is something that you need to really think about. You get a lead from a call, a website, whatever it is. If you're not following up 8 times before they decide to transact with you, then you're not converting the lead. And it's all about lead conversion these days. Getting the lead is not an issue anymore, right? You can meet as many people, but if you're not following up with them, and I know all of you can think of somebody that you're going, yeah, definitely should have called them the next week. And it's been 4 weeks now, and I'm scared to call them because I didn't call them back in a week, and now it's awkward. So make sure you have a follow-up system. Do you follow a schedule? If you have a calendar on your phone, which all of you do, put it this way, all of you have a calendar on your phone. And if you're not using it or you don't know how to use it, Google it and figure out how to use it, because there's very few of us that are still using the Rolodex or the let's say the calendars on your desk. And I know some of you do, but having that schedule and time blocking yourself on the go, you should utilize that technology. You should always be able to grab your phone, and you always have it on you, and look to see where you're going to plug in your action plan or your actionable items every week, month, and time block yourself. Do you review your numbers weekly and monthly? So continuously review where you stand throughout the year. Do you use online reviews or testimonials? We do this for you. This is, and the new testimonial tree is now out. And this program, I think, is a much better program than Real Satisfied, because it gives you a little bit more creativity to do some stuff with it. So if you haven't had a look at the testimonial tree, that's something that you can definitely do. It also allows you to ask for reviews on Google and Facebook and stuff like that. So different ways to get reviews. Just make sure that you're utilizing that, because people will check you out online. And if you have those reviews and testimonials, it'll help. Do you know how to overcome primary objections for most buyers and sellers? Overcoming objections is sales. You need to be able to overcome that. I learned this very early in my career. I started in retail when I was 14, and they had a great training program. And one of the big things they focused on is the overcoming objections. There's not always, you'll always get somebody that says, oh yeah, I don't know if the backyard's big enough, or yeah, I don't know if we really, want to be in this neighborhood, or maybe it's a little bit too high in terms of price. They're always going to be an objection. The question is how do you deal with those objections? And we have overcoming objection seminars that we have on YouTube, as well as we're going to continue doing. Overcoming objections is really important, not just to say, oh, okay, we'll move on, right? This may be the right house for them. You just need to have they're the gives and takes, right? Have you defined a lead and client journey map? So 2 sessions in January, I'm having 4 teams, and you don't have to be on a team in order to join these 2 sessions. The 2 sessions is one, a buyer journey, and the second session is a seller's journey, right? So when a buyer works with you, what journey do they go on? What emails do they receive? How are they seeing properties? How are they, when you're putting together the offer, what process do you go through? What client gift do you give on closing? There's a journey there, and you need to establish what journey they're going to go through, so you know that everyone goes through very consistent and great service. Do you have a lead generation website? Is that something that you're focusing on? Again, nowadays it's not about the leads, it's about the conversion. But are you into the lead generation stuff? And if you are, have you mastered? Is that what you're doing that very well? And then all these give you a score from the 20 questions. And the question is how effective are you currently? Are you 0 to 50, which is, we'll go down to the bottom. Sorry, highly ineffective. I was reading that wrong. So 0 to 50, highly ineffective. So if you scored a 43, you're right now ineffective in your business. 51 to 80, you're somewhat effective. And then if you're over 81% to 100, you're highly effective. So this will give you a great idea and an overview to start off your business plan, to start highlighting and circling the things that are the most important and things you're going to focus on this year and make a master it goal a 5 out of 5. So a good overview to start your business plan. Start here. Okay. The next place I am going to promote you to is in our drive. Okay. Now I'm going to just show you our drive for a second. I know it can be confusing to get into our drive. In Remarketer on our business, our hub, our brokerage hub, there is a drive access. You just click on the drive access, takes you right into our drive. And our drive has different folders. And the folder, this one is in our Heritage in-house workshop folder and our training folder. It's called business planning.
One thing I want to say is you can't achieve everything at once. Every year you have to go to a certain degree. I'd rather you do 4 things in the list and get them to perfection than to try and do 8 and not really perfect them. And then the next year you take another number of things. I find that people would double their income in their first year and then they'll double it again in the next year because they move on. You can't do everything at once. So don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I will go over a lot of things today. So that's where you really do have to highlight the thing that you're going to work on. And this is a 2022 plan. You can highlight 5 things and kind of nail down a thing every month for the next 5 months or spread it out over the year. Okay, but you definitely need to highlight it. So I've put the drive link, and a lot of you are going to start texting me saying the drive link doesn't work. It says that I need free access to it. Okay, it's because you're not signed into Century 21 on Google. So when you're in Google, you do need top right-hand side sign in to your Century 21 account. So it's obviously your Century 21 email to get in. And if you're still having issues, don't worry, we can always send that to you. Okay, so that is, and so I'm going to go right into the business planning worksheet, which is, I already have it open right here. Okay, this was developed. This is not something that came from specifically one source. This is, like I said before, years of, listening to different seminars, both with Pam. One of them comes from Chris Leader. Another one, just thought Richard Robbins sort of simplified it. So different people did different things. Now, the very first thing on the business plan summary, just, putting in your name. Now, the reason why I want you to do this and put your name in is because I want you to print it off and I want you to send it to the manager of your office and have that put into your file. So you can look at it next year. It's good to keep these things on file and then to help have us help you stay organized with it. So what's the 5th, January 5th. Now, if you do have income in the last 365 days, because you had you've been in the business for at least a year and you've made some income, you can put your income in here. The goal, I put a little note here. Don't worry about the goal yet. Okay. I really want you to go through the process first, and then you can come up with your goal because there's certain things that may change that. And the first thing we're going to focus on is your sphere of influence, the people that you know. And anyone who's taken any of our courses in the past knows that we focus a lot on this. And the reason why we do this is because regardless of whether or not you're doing online leads or you're looking to return on investment, you're spending a lot of money in farming and all the sort of stuff that's not sphere of influence related, the foundational business that you need to set up and get organized with is the people that you know. Because if you meet somebody and you transact or do business with them, they become a person that you know. And if you're not making the most of that relationship, you're leaving a lot of opportunities on the table. Brian Buffini is one of the best trainers when it comes to people that you know. His course will teach you for 25 people. That's all you need to know. For 25 people, you can have a $500,000 business. It just depends on who those 25 people are. Are they A, clients? Do they give you repeat and referral business? And how much have you built those relationships out? Okay. But we know the stat in business in North America, 85% of the business done by real estate agents are generated from the people they already know. Okay. The coaches always sort of point towards the same number. And even when you do Pam's exercise that she does a fantastic job with, and it would take about 10 minutes to go through that. So I'm going to give you the number, but I'm going to give you the concept. The concept is if you know 100 people, there's a percentage of those people that are going to be moving next year. There's also a percentage of the people that they know that are going to be moving next year. So it's their business and their the people they know, the referral business that will come your way. Okay, a good referral business, repeat referral and sphere of influence business is between 15 and 20%. Okay, so what that means is if you have 100 people, you should be doing between 15 and 20 deals from them. If you're doing at least 4 to 5 things on this business plan well. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I know people that are doing closer to 25, 30% sphere business, and that's extremely high. That means they're doing things really, really well, building relationships with the people that they know. Okay, so how many addresses can you get addresses for? How many addresses can you do, or do you have addresses for? So how many people on your book of business do you have addresses? Physical address, not email addresses. We need to know where they live. And if you don't know where they live, they're not a good enough sphere of influence. You need to build that relationship. And how do you build that relationship? I'm going to show you a little thing that I have in this business planning. Well, I keep going back to this one. Let's go back to this business planning. There's something called a memory jogger. This memory jogger will, as you read it, you will start to think of people. So who's your accountant? Anybody who happens to be an accountant. Who's in advertising, airlines, antiques, apartments, architect, associates. You go through this list and you're going to start to remember, oh yeah, I got to put that person down. So your phone's a great place to start. You go through your phone and start realizing, yeah, I can call that person. I can call this person. You're putting together a list. Your number is your number. And anybody who is going to do coaching with me, I'm going to ask you your number. What is your number? That's the amount of people that is in your CRM that you have addresses for. That is your sphere of influence. That's your book of business. And you will do 15 to 20%. Pam had said, how does somebody, or Pam had said at the beginning, we typically will double your income, okay? We double people's income specifically by going through this exercise. That's the number one thing we do, because a lot of people are doing business, but they're bumping into it. And let's say they make $100,000 next year. That's great. They made 100,000, but if they had put their 100 people into a system and they followed what we're going to do in this business plan, we know that 100 could be 200 easily within the next year, because they're now you're touching base, you're building out relationships a lot more efficiently, and you will double your income. So take this memory jogger, and that link I gave you will give you access to that drive. So it'll be in there. Take that memory jogger, open up your CRM system. Okay, and obviously we have the Remarketer system. We specifically developed Remarketer so that it nurtured every single month, getting a newsletter. So you're turning your nurturing on, and also, special occasions. So just some simple emails, but that just gets you started. We do have on our, remember I said to make notes on different things that are actionable items that you can go and use. One of them is our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and type in Century 21 Heritage Group Training, you're going to sign up to receive notifications and subscribe to the channel. But the very first thing that comes up is our C21 Remarketer training, right? So if you actually go to C21 Remarketer, it'll have every single training video that we've done on Remarketer. And just at the beginning, using your contact manager is really where, if you're not set up, you're going to do the first 3. But if you're already set up, you just go into the contact manager. It'll teach you how to add people into the system, turn on the nurturing, and then you can start making notes and scheduling tasks and all the sort of stuff that you need to do with your CRM. So how many addresses can you get addresses for? This is, and it really should, I just redid this, just so you know, and I've already found a little mistake there. It's not how many addresses can you or do you have addresses for, how many people can you or do you have addresses for? But anyway, so addresses, let's say there's 100. I always sort of revolved around 100 in my business. Obviously, I started at 40 and I worked my way up to 100 throughout the years. And I focused on those 100. I didn't, go with 2,000, 6,000 because I did some sort of event and I just put everybody in there. Or, I've seen people buying lists, which is crazy. Why would you buy a list? It just, if they don't know you, it's ridiculous, right? So your top 100 people, okay, this is as an example, the minimum projected income. Okay. And this is done still over some of the older numbers. What I mean by is we're probably up about 40% on this, just because of the industry average of the sale price of the houses right now. It's gone up so much. but the return is how many deals, and you can change your average commission if you like. So the example is only example. So if you look at a minimum return of 15 deals or 15% minimum, then you're going to get your average times that by your average commission. So if it's, in this case, it was 10,000. So I'm making on average 10,000 a deal. These days it should be 20,000. So it should be really 300,000 minimum. Okay. So this is just an example of what you can project based on. Now, if you're in the city opposed to up north, or you're in a lower priced area, you're going to times that by the average commission is going to be different, right? If you charge 5% on everything, yeah, you're going to make 20,000 everyone. If you're charging 1.5% on everything or 1% on everything, then it's going to be lower. So you choose your own numbers, but you should have an idea based on the amount of addresses you have as to what your projected income is. And what you can do, especially if you've done business in the past, is start taking your list of homes you sold and start saying, where did that come from? Was it a friend? Was it a past client? Was it a referral that I got? And put the amount that you made in commission here. And then you get your total. So you made 20,000, 50,000, whatever it is last year from your sphere of influence. Projected this year is what you're going to project based on those addresses and the actions you're going to complete in order to get you there. If you know you're at 15%, you want to be better, you want to be at 20%, you just need to look at some of the systems and add another system into this, and you'll see that number increase. I've done enough of these over the last 6-7 years now. Every year that I sit down and go through a business plan with people and see where they end up. And it is absolutely, the people that do it double their income. The people that don't do it don't double their income. The people that do half of the stuff, they increase to 25%, 50%. But it is that systematic. It's crazy how it works, but it works. It really, really works. So let's look at the systems. Now, the first system that we have on here, now I've actually rated these in my head, right, as to what's the most effective. And I don't want you to think about what's the most effective in terms of, well, if I send a newsletter, is that as effective as, you know, taking somebody out to lunch every week? Well, no, I mean, face-to-face is always better, but the newsletters are automated. They're done for you. And when a paper newsletter goes out, not an email newsletter, paper newsletter, and it's consistent and it goes out every month for 15 years, that person is going to think of you when they think of real estate. So that's why it's so effective. It's not because it is the best way of doing it. Well, it is, but it's not because it's the most effective in its action. It's the most effective because it's systematic, it's automated, it's done for you, it's not forgotten. And don't worry so much about what the newsletter is. It's a piece of paper that goes into the mail with their name on it, that's personalized to them, done for you, that is professional, and it gives them updated information. They won't read it. Don't think that, well, yeah, they're not going to read it. Well, or you know what, they said, I started sending my newsletters and they said they never got it last month. Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe it got lost. Maybe the person did. Maybe the wife got it, the husband didn't. Who knows? The reality is you can't look at it that way. Newsletters are the most important. It was the very first thing I did because I took Pam's seminar. I remember it was in the bottom of one of our offices when we had it over at the hotel in Newmarket. Went to the room below that we did all our office meetings in. I remember it, and it was excellent because I gave that list to the company. I think it was 16, 17 years ago, and I haven't stopped sending a newsletter in that many. Like, this is a lifelong newsletter that's sent out, and I never care. I couldn't tell you what was in last month's or 10 months ago or anything. The fact is it was sent. So if you want to have a conversation about that, call me anytime. I'll convince you to do it. Call Pam anytime. She'll convince you to do it. It's
all about consistency as well. And you know what? People on average take about 6 weeks to decide whether they're going to list their house or not. If they get a newsletter from you within that 6 weeks, they think, oh, I better call Aaron. He always knows what's happening in real estate, and see what he thinks, if it's a good time or not. So you have to be in their mind at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't believe, we were at a company meeting at one point in time, a long time ago. And it was our number one marketing piece that our team sent out to everyone we knew. right? Everybody on the team sent it. And when I asked the room, I said, how many people are sending out a paper newsletter to everybody? It was the home team. They all put up their hand and the rest of the room didn't. And they came up to me afterwards. Are you kidding? People don't send in, like, that's our number one source. I know. I said, I know. It was surprising to me. So if you're in real estate and you're not spending at least, and I had 100 people, it's $1.39 or $1.40, something like that, $1.40 per month per person. So I knew $1,500 a year would get me 200,000 at the time in income. I knew that. I knew 1,500 would get me 200,000, and it was always set and forget. So I didn't have to do anything. So it was crazy, right? Return on investment, the number one return on investment you will do in real estate is the newsletter. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. And that's why every time I do have a meeting, I say, guys, got to get on a newsletter. Okay. It's just automated. So moving on though. Last year, again, this is one of those things you may not know. Well, you'll know at least how much you spent. So I always spent $1,500 a year on 100 newsletters, or sorry, 1,000. So it's 100 a month. So it's 1,200.
It's also good to send newsletters to your farm area.
Yes, of course. And we'll get to farming. Absolutely. Right. It's name recognition. It's that mind share. So we'll talk about that again. And then what are you going to do this year? So yeah, I'm going to, let's say I'm going to continue doing what I did in the past, because I did a good job of it. That was one thing I have nailed down pretty good. The next thing is pop buys. I think pop buys are actually, and I'm going to say newsletters are number one. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, Trop, I got a lot of questions this part. How we can get the address from the people?
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Well, you know what? You would think that you were prompted to ask me that question, because I forgot to say that. This is I have a dialogue for you. Okay. It's very simple. I'm not one for scripts. Okay. I don't like to go on a phone call or a conversion with a script, but I like to go on with a thought. Okay. And then say it in my own words. So you say this in your own words. But what I want you to do is you want you to make those phone calls to those people that you wrote down into your CRM that you only have numbers for. So you have phone number for them. You're going to call them up and say, hi, it's Aaron. Oh, actually, Jalal, let's practice right now. Hey, Jalal, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Aaron?
Very good. Jalal, I was hoping you can help me. This is a business call. I apologize. I know that I maybe haven't touched base with you that much in the last year, and I do apologize, but I'm trying to get more organized. So I'm hoping we can speak more in the future. But I'm going through my contact list. I'm surprised I don't have a lot of your information. I'd love to know a little bit more about, for example, I don't have your address. Do you mind if I grab your address from you? I'd like to send out birthday cards and stuff like that every year.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, for sure.
So, and then he'll give me his address. And then, oh, by the way, so how are the kids?
It's all right. Just, they're not going to school now. So,
it's tough, I know. So then you have that conversation.
That's right.
Business up front, and then the kids, or the family stuff and the personal stuff at the end. Okay. The reason why you want to do that is because you don't want to seem ungenuine. When you're making that phone call, if I started out, hey, Jalal, how are the kids? Oh, the kids are great, Aaron. How are your kids? Oh, the kid. By the way, can I get your address? It's going to seem ungenuine. Why did Aaron call? Oh, he was, he was trying to get my address so he can send me some crap, right? Like that's what they're going to think.
One thing that I used to say is, what I just want to let you know, Jalal, is that I'm starting a newsletter program, and I wanted your address, if it's okay with you, for me to send you my newsletter every month, telling you about what's happening in the industry.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Just be honest with them and tell them up front they're going to get a newsletter. It's better to be upfront about it.
And they all say, oh yeah, go ahead, send it to me. And they give you their address right away. That's the line that I used to use, and it worked always.
Perfect.
So try and be genuine with it. Let them know it's a business call. I'm trying to get organized, and and then go into why I'm sending a newsletter. I like to send little things, and
100% do business first on the call, and then do the personal. They remember the personal when you hang up.
Yeah,
that's right.
Now, if you haven't set your newsletter up, Jalal, if you haven't got that newsletter, I want you to go down here. I want you to put newsletter, right?
Yep.
And I want you to put a goal date. Okay. We are getting a presentation by Homania on Monday. And they have a streamlined way to sign up and get everything as sent to you or set up with regards to the newsletter that we implemented with Homania. So we have an internal program we've used for many years. They don't do this for anybody else but our company. And they do a great job of it. We write the article, we give it to them every month, and they put it into the newsletter. They put it in the envelope, they put the stamp on, they send it out and all the rest of it. And it's $1.40 per person per month. So we're getting presented with the new program on Monday, and then that's going to be presented later on this month as well, onto getting signed up to it. Okay. So one of the things in the past was, just getting signed up was a video on how to do this and all that. We're just going to make it a little more streamlined to get signed up on this newsletter.
Another one, because I get a lot of questions this part, right? Yeah. What is different between newsletter, what we have in Remarketer already? They can send it by email, and the newsletter, they send it by mail. What's differences?
Another great question always comes up. The difference is an email is 30% effective. A newsletter is a 90% effective to 100%, to be honest with you. Newsletter is much more professional. They will see it. They won't see it as spam. They won't go into a spam folder, a junk folder. They'll see it as more professional. You're spending money with them. They know that it costs, and it costs your time and effort in order to send it. Anyone can send an email, right? So emails are really ineffective. They're still effective, but only 30%, because I see the open rates, right? When I send out an email to all of you, I get a 30% open rate. When I send out a video email, I get a 60% open rate. If I sent a mailer to all of your households, I'll get a 90% open rate. It's just more efficient. It's better.
But designing wise is different too, right?
Say that again.
Designing, like it just how they design it, they send it by mail, or how they design it already in design a newsletter by Remarketer, right?
The design is to me not. I don't even ask. I look at it. I say it does it look professional? Does it look good? I don't care what goes in it, because I know they don't read it. I know it sounds strange, but to those that are very detailed oriented, it'll matter. I get that. My personality style isn't as detailed oriented as most. So I want to make sure a system's going out and it's happening and that professional and all the rest of it. But I'm not as concerned whether or not this month we talked about the, let's say, mortgage rates and what's happening with the Bank of Canada rate, or whether or not I sent out an email that had the percentage increase in average price. I don't care. Right? Like it's good information, it's relevant, and it's professional. That's all I care about. So the email will be different. The nurturing email that's being sent out, it's like things that are happening locally. That's the Remarketer one. There's also a Life at Home one that Century 21 does that we put in there every month. And if you want that one, you can send that one out every month. But I like automation. The one that when you turn on newsletters that's automated through Remarketer is the one I suggest, because every month that'll get done and you don't have to even remember. So that's my suggestion, is go with automation over quality or quantity. I do know some people do their own newsletters, and that's okay. But remember, you pay yourself a wage. So how much did you make last year? Divide by how many hours a week you work, and find out how much you are worth. And if you're worth more than $20 an hour, which most of you should be, then you have somebody else do it for you, because you need to focus on the things that are making you more money, and then you're not paying yourself a minimum wage. Okay.
That's right. Thank you.
Popeyes. Popeyes I love. It's face-to-face. Obviously through COVID, it's been difficult. Even if you went and dropped something off at their door and give them a quick call, I just dropped something off at your front door for you. That's okay, right? I don't mind the drop-offs right now. We've just went into stage 2 again, so we're really not going door to door at all. But Popeyes are so effective throughout the times that you can, because you can get face-to-face, and anytime you're face-to-face, you have no idea how much that matters. I love to tell my story about the event I went to once. There was a high-end executive for a large company in Canada, and he was at the event, and one of the guys that I dropped off a pumpkin for brought me over, put his arm around me and says, "Aaron Richardson, the best realtor." And it's not even because he sold us our last house. It's because, you know what he did on Halloween? He dropped us off a $5 pumpkin. Can you believe this guy took his time? And he says, that's the stuff that matters. And he started going on about it. I'm going, oh my God, this is gold, right? And of course, the CEO of, it was Fairfax Finance, what was it? One of the big companies, actually the one that owns, you know, the Keg and Harvey's and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so he was there and he was telling the CEO of this huge company, my $5 pop by, right? That's how important pop buys are. So we have tons of pop by ideas. You can go on, type in Pinterest pop by ideas. You'll see tons and tons and tons of them. Come up with a pop by. It's a cute little card that says, let me give you the scoop on real estate, and you give them an ice cream scoop. Okay, that's a pop by. And you should be doing that twice a year minimum. And if you have 100 people, you should be doing 200 pop buys, and at $5 a pop buy, right? So you're spending $1,000. Right. And that's maybe what you did last year. Maybe you only did 100, and this year you'll do 200. So let's do that. So 100, and you're going to double your pop buys. So that was 500. You get the idea of the budgeting, right? And then this year you're going to do 200, and it's going to be 1,000. Okay. Calls. How many calls a year should you make? Pam, how many calls a year should we make to our sphere of influence?
I would say at least 3. 4
Yep.
is probably better.
Yep. 3 to 4 calls every year. And that should be in your CRM, right? So you every time you make a phone call, you just plug a task in for the next 3 months, call them in 3 months. That's it. It's set up. You see your CRM in 3 months. It says, call this person, you called them, and you make your notes. So
And that's not that many calls. If you have 100 people and you're calling them 300 times, 3 times a year, that's only 300 calls a year.
600, yeah. And it costs you, how much it cost you? Nothing.
Yeah, that's like 6 calls a week. It's nothing.
Right. So that's the $0 spent. Note cards. Note cards cost very little. Your dollar per card, let's say, because you're going to spend it on, what is it now to send a stamp, put a stamp on an envelope these days? It's $1 still. I don't know if it's more than $1 now. So you got your note cards, and you should be sending out 2 a day is Buffini's rule. Buffini's are so 2 a day. So let's say, if you're sending out 10 a week, right, and you're working 44 weeks, that's 440 note cards. Now, keep in mind, you can't send out, let's go back to the top. You can't send a newsletter without an address. You can't pop by a house without an address. You can't send a note card without an address. You can't do a calendar without an address. You can't do birthday cards without an address. Do you see the reason why it's so important to have an address, right? So 440 note cards. Now, these are things, let's say you did last year.
It's really a good excuse to make a phone call to all your clients too, to ask for the email address.
Oh,
It's a good contact.
Ayub would tell you in Thornhill. I got him again coaching on a plan. He's got to call his sphere of influence. He's big smile, and when Ayub smiles, if you ever met Ayub, it lights up the room. He's got this big smile. He comes in, he goes, Aaron. He says, I got one. I said, what do you mean? He said, I made my calls last week and I got a listing just by making his phone calls. It was amazing. So it was 300 or 440. I said 440. And then, so 440 times $1 plus whatever. Let's say you're spending $500 on your note cards. Calendars.
If an agent ever tells me they're on a slump, I always say, just start calling your sphere of influence. And always within a couple of days, they come with that smile, and it works.
Yeah. Your calendars, obviously a realtor is always known for their calendars. I don't know what it is. It's been happening for probably 40 years. We send calendars, right? It can be the fridge magnet. It could be pens. It could be anything, just something of value. The calendar is great because it has staying power. I'm surprised how many people still use calendars. I still see it all over the place. I'm like, I would never have a paper calendar. I just don't do that, but a lot of people do. So calendars are still effective. And you're going to, I think it's let's say $1.50 if you drop them off. It's $3 if you don't. So again, you can put, you say, yeah, I'm going to do calendars next year, 200 calendars, or say 100 calendars, and you're going to spend, let's say $3 a calendar. So it's $300. So if you're there, you've got 5 items. If you're doing all 5 items, you're at 15%. Okay. You should be doing 15 deals. If you're not doing 15 deals out of 100 people and you're doing all these things for 1 year straight, call me. Something's not right. Okay. There's just something's off, because maybe there's very few people I'm going to run into and say, okay, they're the exception to the rule. Maybe people just don't like you. And I just, I know it's kind of cruel and stuff, but there's very few people that if you're building relationships, if you're doing everything right, this should work. Okay. Events, birthday cards, email touches. Email's the bottom one. The reason why the email's at the bottom is because it's the most ineffective. It's the most non-personal. People don't like spam. I'm not saying don't do it. You should do it. You should have an email touch campaign. I always have. I do things like Happy New Year's, right? Things like of special occasions or deals, right? Some sort of deal that you may have on something, or just a good recommendation to a restaurant, something like that. So these are the systems that I want you to go through. I want you to put the projected budget there. As you can see, I'm going to do note cards and calendars. So I'm going to write it down, note cards and calendars, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an action plan to get certain things done. Note cards, I'm going to do March, meaning get that set up, right? Calendars, I'm going to do in December next year, send it out. Maybe I missed I can actually do it this year. How's it been January 15th, right? Get the calendars out. So there's your goal date. I want you to take these goal dates. I want you to put them in your phone. I want you to put a reminder on your phone and get this stuff done. If this is set up and done and all your addresses are in the CRM system that you're using, again, Remarketer was set up specifically for this and it works great. That should be your sphere of influence business plan moving forward for the year. The next section is the people that you don't know, right? So this is the source of this is a source of where people are coming from as leads, we'll call them, right? So it could be, everybody's talking online leads. Everybody wants an online lead, right? Online lead. I will tell you, if all of you watched my telelisting video, okay, on YouTube, go to telelisting, watch telelisting video on YouTube. You will have just as much success for free making phone calls to people cold calling, okay, with some generic scripts and stuff like that you're going to talk to them about and offer a home evaluation or talk about the market. You will have just as much success making those phone calls to the phone book over online leads. Okay, online leads, you'll spend money and you like it because you spent the $500 a month and you got your 30 leads and you call them, but you're doing the same thing. You're calling people that don't really want you to call them, right? Most people do not want you phoning them. And that includes people that are online that mistakenly thought they were going to get some sort of list from you and they end up getting a phone call instead. It's the same person that's in the area that's, thinking about selling and sees how crazy the market is right now. They say, what's the newest stat? 1 in 10 people are thinking about selling right now. I think it's 1 in 10. They just came up with a stat. That means 1 in 10 people you talk to cold calling are thinking about selling. That's a lead. It's crazy. The craziness of the online lead systems right now that people are spending money. The people making money on online leads are the companies that are developing in the online leads. Bottom line, I've been doing it for 16 years. It's a hobby of mine. I like knowing how it works. I always did 2-3 deals every year from it, but it was just 2-3 extra deals. That's all it was. And then I built out a great relationship with those 3 people that I got and converted. And it turned into 30 in the next 5 years because you develop the relationships, the good stuff, the pop buys, the note cards, the calendars, everything you're doing right. And your business explodes because those 3 people were properly nurtured and you had the foundations in place. So you can kind of see where this goes. I'm not saying return on investment. If you want to make a ton of money in real estate, you start off with a good foundation and then you look at paid advertising. And this goes back to the conversation Pam and I had with regards to that lady that was doing the homes and lands, for example. So she was doing home and land, and it's just one of the paper newsprint things that are out there. So she spent last year, what would I say, 5,000? She made 30. The best thing about paid advertising, the best, is 1, you're saving time, right? Time is money. Right? You're paying some. So if you want to take a percentage of your business and turn it into a return on investment, this is the place to do it. Cost you very little time other than to show them house and obviously buy them something. But you can take 5,000 that made 30 and spend 10,000 and make 60, right? Because you can scale it. So if you're doing farming, you started off with farming. If you started off with a $5,000 farming program, which is typical for an area, and you did, I don't know, 20 things. So they even sold 1 house from it. 5,000 made 20. Next year, you're going to go 10,000 and you're going to make 40. That's how it works. And next year you might actually make more than 40. Maybe you'll do more than 60. Maybe you'll do a little less. I don't know. But if you don't have your numbers, and if you don't find out where your business is coming from and what is being, turning over and being successful for you, then you can't scale. So this is all about scaling. A lot of ideas are below, right? So let's say Billy D, I'm going to use you as an example again. Billy D last year had a great year. He made 100, or let's say 200,000 from his sphere of influence. He was doing 5 things really, really well. Saying, Aaron, but what do I do next? I said, well, what have you heard that you'd like to do? Right? Well, I heard farming's good. Like, farming is an area that you could be a $1 million+ producer, no problem, as long as you know how to scale. So this is where he goes and says, well, how do I do farming? I said, well, I've got a video for that. Go to YouTube, watch my farming video. Let's talk about it afterwards. Attend our sessions. But essentially, if you're consistent and you put something in place that is consistently marketing to somebody over and over and over, you become somebody that's in their head when they think of real estate. So if it's Billy D every month, every other week, really, and Billy D decides to take a bench, and they see his face 47 times every time they come home from work and all the rest of it. So now Billy D is the person to think about if they're looking to sell. If they don't already have 85% of people have a friend or family member that's looking to sell. So really, in a farming area, there's 15% of the people in that area will use a new agent, person that is local, a person that they, the mind share and all the rest of it. So this does work. Farming works, but you have to be consistent with it, and you can't give up. Farming is one of those things. You'll spend 5,000 in 1 year. You come back to say, Aaron, it didn't work. I didn't get a call. I said, okay, hold on, do it another year, right? You're just
usually takes 2 years for your farming to become really valuable. Yeah. I had a farm area, and when I finished, I was getting 20% of all sales out of the area.
It's crazy.
Which is a crazy number. I actually had a little girl, because she had seen so many of my newsletters, come up to me when she was walking with her mom and ask for my autograph because she thought I was famous.
Honestly, that is exactly what it is. They think you're famous. And I forget the coach that did it, but he came up with a program. It was farming, but he kind of marketed it as the mayor program, right? It's the mayor program. If you're going to run for office, you need to be popular. So when somebody thinks about the celebrity in the area, and it's amazing, right? All of us know a real estate agent in their area that's popular, but as soon as you go, one city over, they have no idea who that person is, right? They got no idea. If you guys don't know Rod Frank, or what's one, Billy, what's one up in Hamilton that's like just, they got the Hamilton market, right? So you're not going to know these people, but in my area, it's just Michelle Denniston, right? So people in Hamilton aren't going to know who Michelle is, but if you live in King City, Michelle's been around 15 years and sending a newsletter out every single month for 15 years, including doing this, that, and whatever in the community and having presence. And so when it comes to farming, part of your business plan, if that's what you want to do, I want you to watch the farming video on YouTube because it'll give you some great ideas. As you go down, you can see that online, I should talk a little bit about online leads because I know that's what a lot of you are doing. And all I'll tell you is whether or not you're getting 5 leads or 50 leads, it's the quality of your conversion that makes all the difference in the world. And you should always be looking when you're having a conversation with somebody to convert that lead. It's only going to happen if they think you have something that they want, right? Is it a list? Is it a list of homes that are currently exclusive? We've got a kind of a cool new exclusive network coming out to Remarketer. So that's coming up. So you'll have access to exclusive listings again. And that'll give you a list of homes that are off market. You can quickly tell people as they call in off of one of your leads and say, listen, I do have an exclusive list of off market properties. Would you like, if something comes up in the area, it's okay if I should send that to you, et cetera, et cetera. So conversion is so important, and the averages don't lie. 8 contact points before somebody will communicate with you, which means if you call them the first day, you got to call them the next 8 days, every single day until you finally get a hold of them. And it takes a lot of time. Right now, I will tell you, it is the popular choice of teams and brokerages for that matter that will say they will give you leads. And it's a bait and switch. right? So they bait you in with leads and say, I'll give you leads, give you leads. It's fine. They're giving names and numbers. And what they're doing is they're saying, oh, by the way, you need to do your sphere of influence really well. You need to send a newsletter news. And they start making money off of your business. That is stuff you should have been doing, but they're coaching you on your sphere of influence and baiting you in with leads. So what we're doing is we're teaching always the sphere of influence, because that's the sort of thing. You don't need to be on a team or being handed leads if you're developing them yourself and you know how to convert them as well, and you have your sphere of influence all done. So that's why the business planning is so important. So online leads could be a part of it. I'm not saying it's not. One of the biggest benefits of online leads is getting just used to doing some conversion over the phone, right? So, and so will telemarketing. Like if you do go to a telelisting, and there's another good way, just to make those calls and get comfortable talking to people about real estate, it's free. You don't have to pay for that, right? You don't have to give half your commission away to somebody either. So the other thing is another spelling. I just got to fix that. Don't know. Door knocking, cold calling, open houses, networks. This is meeting people that you don't know face to face, or developing a network amongst. So this is their cold calling. And one of the things within this section of an action plan or a business plan is the fact that you can do a quick worksheet and give yourself a goal of how many houses you should door knock. Now, can't door knock right now, which is unfortunate. But if you go through this exercise, let's say you did 100, like go back up to the top, you're at 150,000, right? Let's say you're not doing this and you're not making any extra money yet on pay, because you don't have the money or whatever the main things, but you want to make an extra 100,000 doing prospecting. You can type in 100,000 as a goal. Is what do I have to do in order to make $100,000 knocking on people's doors? Double the amount for cold calling. That's all you have to do, because it's a little more effective if you're face to face, and twice as effective if you're door knocking than cold calling. So $100,000 divided by your average commission. Let's say it's 10,000, right? So that's 10 deals. So you need to make 10 deals next year from door knocking, divided by the listing presentation success rate. So 10 divided by 33% is 30 presentations. Average success of a lead is usually about 10% door knocking. So if you get a lead, somebody to like say, yes, I'm interested in a home evaluation, the percentage on average that is going to turn into something is about 10%. So you again, 300 is the number that you're going to put there. So 300 contacts you're going to need to make. And then you're working 44 weeks a year, let's say. And so you're going to divide that 300 by 44. That's 6.8. So I'm going to say 7 contacts per week. And the industry success rate of a door knock is 2%. So if you take 7 divided by 2%, you got 350. So if you want to make $100,000, and that's just off the door knock. Okay, I'm not talking about subsidiary income that's going to come from sphere of influence foundational stuff, because you're going to triple your money just because you're going to develop a really good relationship, Popeyes, note cards, calendars, etc. You are going to need to knock on 350 doors a week in order to get 10 deals, right, from door knocking.
You always get a lot of spin-off too, because if you get a listing, somebody's going to see your sign up and they're going to call you, or a neighbor will call you or something like that. So you get spin-off as well. So these numbers, and everybody that you get knows 3 people who are going to buy or sell next year, they can send you referrals. So this is like minimum numbers. The numbers are much higher.
Yeah, the business subsidiary is huge. The reality with door knock, I use somebody that used to door knock in Newmarket, because I know this because my mom would tell me. Right? I just remember back when I first started in the business, this agent came to the front door, and my mom was, oh, my son just got into real estate. And then he came back again in the fall. He door knocked Newmarket 2.5 times a year, thousands of homes. Okay. And he did that 5 days a week. 3 hours in the morning, and then cold calling in the afternoon. Started at 9. We actually got complaints at our office once because he's so quick at doing it. He would do knock, 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 leave a card, move on. And he was knock, knock. He was already 2 doors down by the time somebody answered the door. So got to do it. He was a fast walker. Anyway, so but if you take this as an example of 350 and say you're going to do it 5 days a week, That's 70 doors a day, right? So if you can knock on 70 doors for 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe you can do 40 an hour, and it's only 2 hours every day. It's also a great way to get healthy, right?
I always used to like to door knock around an open house, door knock around a new listing or a sale, because then you've got something to say.
Yeah.
And your chances are the numbers improve when you have selective door knock.
Yeah, somebody actually came up with that percentage, and they said it was 37% more likely to transact if somebody either listed a house on that street in the last 7 days, or somebody sold a house on the street in the last 7 days. So if you're going to door knock your farm area, that's different. That's not really door knocking. That's farming. Okay. So you got to also look at it a little differently. Some coaches say, I don't teach door knocking. Well, you teach people to knock on doors. I said, I teach people to knock on doors, but it's for a reason. It's not door knocking. It's actually farming, right? So if you have a reason to knock, and it's a much higher chance. So definitely one of the plans I would have is, if you're going to do 350 a week, just go on your MLS system, do time minus 7 days sold in a certain area, find a house that is sold, research the house, know all about the house, including the people's names, go door knocking. And Pam taught me this once. Mr. and Mrs. Smith just sold down the road, and there's lots of buyers still looking in the area. If one of those buyers, would you be interested in maybe having somebody come through your house? Oh, really? You have that conversation, and they know that Mr. and Mrs. Smith 10 doors down, which means they know the area. So you're putting these little creative ways to show them that you're the local expert, right? So there's different ways to door knock. That's one of them. I know we spent a little bit of time on something you shouldn't be doing right now, but hopefully in the summer, when it gets nicer, you'll think about door knocking as one of your areas. By the way, it's the same thing for cold calling. Just double this. You need to make 700 calls every week, right? There's dialers out there. There's systems out there. We have one. It's not cheap. We pay for it every year for you. Use it. Telelisting is it's got its own CRM. It's got its own place to put in your notes and tasks and reminders and scripts and all the rest of it. So it's a really good CRM at the same time. So if you're looking for business today, that's a great one. So those are the three sheets that, if you download and fill out and put in your action plans, I want you to concentrate on and have sent to your manager. The accountability measure, which is the last part of our presentation today, it's the toughest piece. I mean, usually we can get people to the point of doing a business plan, putting their numbers down, starting to work on it. But about 2 months down the road, you'll come back and say, how are those addresses coming? I know. And they got busy. So what I want you to do is, one is come to the coaching on Mondays. That'll help. Second, there are two forms, and we're going to call this old school, but old school is still good school. So you can just write it down, right? And it's called a week at a glance and a month at a glance. And what you do, and this is a Pam thing. She loved, yeah, right? This is why I got taught this 16 years ago. Just look at a Monday morning and say, what are you doing Monday mornings? Is that your workout day? Is that your day that you're doing business planning? What are you doing on Monday mornings, Monday afternoons, Monday evenings? And you can make notes. So you go through a week and you start time blocking yourself. If Friday's date night with your significant other, then put it in there and book yourself off. And you're never going to schedule something on a Friday night with that at all. This will help you time block for the week. And what that will also do is allow you to go into your phone and put everything that is on that sheet into your phone and do a recurring event. If you don't know how to do that, Google it. Every phone's a little different. Every calendar is a little different. You can do reoccurring reminders. Okay, a reoccurring event. And that will every Friday remind you, and it'll put it on your schedule. So if somebody says, I have would you like to, or can you come over on Friday night in order to do a listing presentation? What would you say? Right? Oh yeah, no problem. Friday night it is. And then you wait a second. There's some things you have to back up and do really creatively ahead of time in order so they respect your time, one, and also know that you're a busy person, because people want to be with busy people. So what you're going to say is, let me check my schedule. I actually have something on Friday evening. Is there any way you could do Thursday, or would Saturday be better? And say, no, Friday is the only time we can have you in. I'll tell you what, let me give you a call back in 5 minutes. Get off the phone, call them back in 5 minutes and say, yeah, I just moved my Friday appointment and we can make that work. What they do going forward is they know you're a busy person. You're willing to make a sacrifice to ask somebody else to move. So they high on priority list and they really respect you for doing that. And you can always call your wife or significant other and, move that to Thursday instead of Friday, but don't just jump at any time that somebody says that, right? So that's why you want to time block. You want to hold yourself. If your Thursdays are door knocking, then you're door knocking. If somebody asks for an appointment, you say, I'm booked for that appointment. Book yourself and don't change it. You change it once, you're going to change it 50 times. You'll stop doing it. So those are some time management techniques. Week at a glance and month at a glance is available. There's the month at a glance.
One of the things that I always like to say to agents is this: if you have an appointment with a client, would you ever miss it? And of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't not show up. And I say, so if you have it in your calendar that you're going to door knock at a certain time on Sunday or something, why would you miss it? It's like an appointment. It's just as important as going to that appointment with your client, because that's your whole plan going forward.
Mm-hmm. So that is our business plan. I hope you really take note of the importance of the foundational part of the plan. If you're not here yet, if you're not doing at least 4 to 5 of these really well, spend the time now to get it done. Just get that done. Put it in. You will get that done by the end of the month. Then you can start focusing on the other ways to get subsidiary income to build out your sphere of influence and make the relationships much more effective in your plan. So focus on that. That's going to be the end of the presentation on the business plan part of it. I do want to let you know about an app to pre-quill Mondays at 10. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick overview of that app, and then do yourself a favor. Do that to exercise that assessment. That'll go to your manager. We'll get that business plan in your file, and then we'll start the coaching. Now, the coaching, I knew about this app a couple of years ago and looked at it, thought it was great. And then I started actually implementing it this year with some of the agents we're coaching. And again, it's worked really well. It is an accountability. So it's hard for the agents to get into, it's hard for anyone to get into a routine of continuing to use something. If you continuously look at this daily, it will 100% help you in your business. It's called Agent Success App. And if you go to agentsuccessapp.com, you'll get the video, you'll learn a bit about it and what it does for you. It's like Weight Watchers for real estate agents. It gives you points. I have a track login already. It is an app for your phone. I'm going to log in. I'm just going to show you basically, when you log into this app, it's going to ask you very similarly the things I asked you guys to do in your business plan. How many people do you have? I think it's sphere of influence. What's your goal for the year? Just ask you a bunch of stuff about your business to sort of get your goals all set up. So my goal in this case was $100,000. So it tells me, it breaks down my numbers, how many weeks vacation I'm taking this year, the average percentage of the listings that close. So if you sell something, does it close? Typically we are closing. Average number of appointments to get a listing or buyer agency agreement, average number of prospects to get an appointment. So you put these numbers in and it will break out your goals for next year. And then it's going to give you a prospecting points. And if I clicked on prospecting and then I think add prospecting, here we go. So if you add your prospecting daily and give yourself points for things you've done, you can sit there on a Monday and say, yeah, this week I'm going to do an open house. It's going to give me 5 points. And it tells me monthly I need 53 to achieve my goals. So I know 5 points. So if you break that 53 divided by 4, so 13 points I need this week. So I'm going to do an open house. I'm going to do a personal letter, a pop-by gift. I'm going to do 5 of them maybe. I'm going to host an investor seminar, get you 10 points, right? Think about all the different things that you get points for. And just give yourself points every day, every week. Maybe you do it at Monday and Friday. Put it in your day timer as something you're going to do every Monday to plan the week, and then Friday or Sunday to give you your points for the week. And it'll start adding up your points. You'll start putting in your deals, right? How many closings, pending closed deals and stuff like that. So it'll also track your business. What it does for me, okay, which is the coolest part, is a part of the Monday accountability is you are going to add me as an accountability partner. Okay. I use this as an example of David. So you're going to put in my first name, my last name. Who am I, right? Let's say I put me as a coach, right? I'm your coach. Company, Century 21 Heritage Group. Email, you use my Century 21. It should look like this, actually. There you go. So Aaron.Richard Century 21. I will then now have access to a list of the people I coach and help you with your points, help you with your action plan, goals, business plan, everything. So if you download the app and add me as a coach, I will be holding you accountable every Monday at 10 and saying, what are you doing this week? Okay. This gives a great accountability for 2022. You could say, yeah, we're starting in 2022. Anyway, so do you guys like that? I really, really think this is going to work well for a lot of you. Yeah, I would love to see you all there on Monday. I'm going to open up the floor to anybody who wants to, I'm sure there might be some questions. I will tell you on Mondays, I'm going to ask you to turn on your cameras. Okay, you can mute yourself. That's fine. We don't have to hear, the kids on the on all the devices, online schooling and all the rest of it. But I'd like to see who's going to be interacting every week, right? And I also want your permission to bring up the accountability partners, right? So I can, and I've asked the people that I'm doing coaching with right now the same idea, right? So for my connections, I'll have a list of agents and I'll see where you're sitting. Right. And see, how many points you're giving yourselves, et cetera. So there's a great opportunity for the most important part of the business. This, take value for a second. Okay. The value in this is between $800 and $1,000 a month. That's what you would pay to have a coach. That's what the industry would pay. And if you want to spend that, go and do it. It's worth it. Guys, if you do a one-on-one coach, Richard Robbins, Brian Buffini, Chris Leader, they do a great job of coaching, but they're going to do the same thing I'm going to do for you. And it's not going to cost you anything, right? They're going to get you on some sort of a measurement tool. They're going to talk about your app, what you're going to do every day for your prospects, hold you accountable, talk about your environment, your health, your wellness, all the things that a coach will do. And every coach is different, right? So one will resonate, one won't, and all the rest of it, but give this a try because I think, and I know it worked for a lot of people that we worked with last year. So I've got some testimonials if you want to give them a call. But you got to look at it. If you're winning, we're winning. We're in this together. We're a team. Any questions? I got to see the chat window too. Andy, you're always good for some good questions. That's great. For professional contacts, doctor, lawyer, accountant, are you asking those contacts for the home address or do you use their business address? It depends, right? It depends on that relationship. Obviously, asking your doctor for your home address is not going to work. So the business address worked really well for me. When I sent one to it was a restaurant and they had given me a referral at the time. It was the Maid's Cottage in Newmarket. So what I did was I sent a newsletter every month to lovely ladies at the Maid's Cottage. So they've received my newsletter. So I was getting referrals from that. Hairdresser is a great example of somebody that if you sent a note card to and mailed it to the address of the business, sometimes they'll say, yeah, I can't do that again. My boss got mad at me, but maybe drop it by then. It just depends on the person, but businesses can work, especially the ones that allow you to do it. What they'll do is they'll take that note card as saying, you always do such a great job with my hair. Thank you so much. Have a happy 2022. Here's a $5 Tim card, 10, 20, whatever you want to do. They'll put that little, look, I got one myself. I don't know if you guys can see me. I can't see myself. There we go. So I got one that I put on my desk, a happy holidays card from Vonnie. So, and I put that there. They'll do the same thing. And then the people that they cut their hair every single day will look at it and say, who gave you that? Or they'll just see there's a realtor, right? And there's a referral. Especially if they're talking about real estate. And who doesn't talk about real estate when they're getting their hair cut? Peter Holgate, anyone wants to deal with you, will provide their personal information. Use this as a guiding light. Yeah, that's true. If somebody's saying, yeah, I'd rather not give you that information, I'm really, some people just don't want to obviously receive things by mail. So let's say you say, listen, I'd love to send you a newsletter. Oh, I don't want a newsletter. I actually had somebody that says, I don't want a newsletter. I still sent it to them, by the way, but yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just, I do drop by I do drop by gifts every year too, and I'd like to drop by and give it. If they say, no, I'd rather not give you my address, then they're just not a sphere of influence, right? And say, no problem. Send them the emails and that's fine. So you'll get 1 out of 20 people, 30 people that might not want to give your address. That's okay. It's just a numbers game anyway, right? It's not really a numbers game. It's a relationship game, but the numbers don't lie, that there will be people that'll say no. Angela is saying, can we hand deliver postcards to a farming area at this time? Concerned about COVID. I wouldn't be out and about right now. It's one of those things where you kind of feel, you got to kind of feel what the feeling of the people in the area, like, what does society feel right now about seeing people face to face? They don't like it, like in general, right? It's a lockdown. You just don't want somebody to be, they saw you put it in the front door and you walked away. I think it's okay, but why not wait a couple weeks, I guess is what I'm going to suggest. And especially if we're in stage 2, wait till that stage 3 where, people are allowed back inside and stuff like that for restaurants. And I think that's probably a good time. Tanya saying, Happy New Year's, everybody. Best wishes. All your dreams come true. That's 2022 must be better. Yeah. I think it's getting better. I mean, 2020 was the tough one. 21 was better, and 22. I think we're going to have one heck of a spring. I said that last year too, and we did, but it's going to be, with Omicron not being as severe, and as soon as they start seeing that, it's not so bad out there in terms of severity of the COVID, then it's going to be that time of February, right, where things will start to open up again. People will be back in restaurants, and that's right during our season. So right now is the best time to start making those phone calls, talking to people, doing some seminars online. We're going to talk a lot about different things every week that you can do in your business. And sometimes those things will resonate with people. Or is it 2022? Yeah, that's funny, Scott. Christine saying, I keep saying that this year's going to be better than last year. I still think it has been, right? I mean, 2020 was the tough one, but I think, we're dealing with it, but I think we're dealing with it in a better way. There's less people getting severely sick with this. I know there's still people that are, but there's less of it. So it's hopefully turning a corner. So I'm going to see everybody out on Monday. Hopefully, if you can, do that assessment. And that'll get sent to Debbie. It'll get sent to Debbie. Will disperse it to the managers, and the managers will follow up with you. Because I do want you to reach out to the manager of the office, who's going to be your coach, as well as, take me up on my my offer for Mondays as well. I think that'll be something that's consistent. So we've got lots of support here. 2022 is going to be 100% focused on your business. Very little, you'll hear me very little, unless it has to do with your business. You hear me talk very little about COVID this year, I promise. Okay. We've got through it. Obviously, best practices, what you're doing out there. Let's focus on what it is that's going to get your business going. And that's what that's my business plan this year, is to work with a lot of you on that. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and even the little bell to get notifications, just so you can stay in touch and watch more of these great videos.